If you have already watched this introductory information, you can skip ahead no more than 7 minutes. Hello, welcome. I am predicting that singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. This time-stamped email proves that this prediction that Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025 has been known since November 9th. We can see here the timestamp November 9th, 2024. On November 8th, 2024, we received the relevant prophetic signs related to Paul Simon. And as I wrote right here, God was pointing to November 8th ahead of time because Simon's death will point to Revelation chapter 8, verse 1. And this is the reason why Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. In short, the date 8:1 and 11:8 hint at Revelation 8:1 in the Bible, which describes a period of silence that was observed in heaven. Paul Simon's first hit was Sound of Silence. As I wrote right here, it is exactly 38 weeks between November 8th and August 1st, 2025, and Paul Simon is predicted to die at the age of 83, for which 38 weeks hints at. A dirty bomb is a conventional explosive that uses radioactive material. I am predicting that 3 dirty bombs will explode in New York City, in Times Square, Penn Station, and Grand Central Station. There will then be a massive evacuation from Manhattan Island. I am predicting that these 3 dirty bombs will explode on either August 30th or September 4th. I am also predicting that a dirty bomb will explode in the port of Los Angeles on September 4th. I am predicting that Tehran, Iran, will be nuked by the US or possibly Israel on September 7th, 2025. This will obviously be in response to the dirty bombs that are predicted to explode in New York City. I am predicting that Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom will die in a plane crash in St. Louis as they are traveling from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles in Busch Stadium in St. Louis on August 2nd, 2028. This will be during the predicted presidential campaign of Gavin Newsom. As a result of Gavin Newsom's death, Michelle Obama will become the Democrat Party's presidential nomination. Michelle Obama will, quote unquote, win the election over J.D. Vance on November 7th, 2028, and will become the president on January 20th, 2029. Donald Trump is predicted to run as J.D. Vance's vice president. This scheme to overcome the 22nd Amendment will backfire and inspire Michelle Obama and Barack Obama to run on the ticket with Barack Obama as Michelle Obama's vice president. She will then step down and Barack Obama will become the president again. It is predicted that there will be a massive Mary apparition on the beach in Rio, Brazil on April 24th, 2029. It is now recognized that there will be 2 massive Mary apparitions on the beach in Rio. The first of the 2 is predicted to be on March 22nd, 2029. These predicted Mary apparitions will not be secretive. They will be mainstream, worldwide news. Like all Mary apparitions in history, including at Lourdes, Guadalupe, and Fatima, this Mary apparition will be a demon pretending to be Mary. It is predicted that on April 26th, 2029, the key will open the bottomless pit and fallen angels will cross over into the earthly realm. April 26th, 2029 will be a symbolic beginning to the fifth trumpet judgment that is described in Revelation chapter 9, when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. April 26th, 2029 will be a symbolic beginning to demons pretending to be aliens. The demons pretending to be aliens will claim to be here to help us with our nuclear weapons. It is predicted that Pope Francis will be resurrected from the grave on April 26th, 2029. And it is possible that on this day, Pope Francis will announce that aliens have arrived and have made him the ambassador for the world. This will immediately give Pope Francis, the Antichrist, supreme power over governments of the world. April 26th, 2029 will be a symbolic beginning to a zombie pandemic and the masses becoming demonically possessed that will be facilitated through the thing, which is the mark of the Antichrist and 5G frequencies. April 26th, 2029 will be a symbolic beginning to the coming genocide politicide in America. The resurrection rapture event will occur on Pentecost on May 27th, 2029. On September 11th, 2029, there will be a catastrophic asteroid hit of Earth in the Indian Ocean. The greatest seismic effect of this will be felt on the other side of the globe, which is North America, and this will trigger an eruption of Yellowstone volcano and will cause the volcano in the Canary Islands to collapse into the Atlantic Ocean and send a mega tsunami towards the east coast. The asteroid will also trigger a mega landslide on Hawaii Island that will trigger a mega tsunami that will hit the west coast. It will also trigger the collapse of the Hoover Dam, which will cause a water panic in California, and many other devastating earthquakes. The day of the Lord, the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ, Judgment Day, will be at the end of 2031. The date that this video is posted proves that these predictions are being made ahead of time, as do these time-stamped emails and forensic notes PDF documents. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. The 44th president is the Antichrist, who will return to power in the White House. In Bible prophecy, the Antichrist's number is 666. The White House has 132 rooms. 132 is equal to 44 plus 44 plus 44. And God repeats a number 3 times for emphasis of its symbolic meaning. And that's because the White House was all along designed to be the dwelling of the Antichrist, the 44th president. Paul Simon is predicted to die during his current concert tour, which began on the date 4/4 in New Orleans. 4/4, the date, was 13 weeks and 2 days, which hints at 132 and the number of rooms in the mansion, the White House, after the terrorist attack in New Orleans. Okay, so Paul Simon's tour that he's currently on began on the date 4/4, and as I've been explaining already in the other paragraphs, right, the other videos, if you're watching this in a separate video, Paul Simon is associated with the number 4 because the 4th letter of the Hebrew alphabet is the symbol for a door, and the bridge is also the same symbolism as a door, and Paul Simon's biggest hit was Bridge Over Troubled Water. In a nutshell, that's why Simon's associated with 4. His current tour began on the date 4/4 in New Orleans. The White House mansion, which he sang in, by the way, on the first day of the 4th month in 2024, it has 44 plus 44 plus 44 rooms. Okay, so that's confirmation of the 13 weeks and 2 days. And that's relevant too because Paul Simon sang in the 132-room mansion recently. Incidentally, exactly 4 times 4 months before Simon's predicted death, as I explained in the last paragraph. Well, now we're talking about this New Orleans terrorist attack on January 1st, right? The New Year's morning New Orleans attack, if you recall. And now I've tied it to Paul Simon. And anyway, the Antichrist number is 666. Louisiana is the 6 + 6 + 6th state to join the Union. And now, as I've shown, connects with the date 44 because the 44th president is the Antichrist. Now, the name Barak is equal to 6 times 6 times 6 in English gematria. Barak was born on the 6 times 6 times 6th day of the calendar year, and the word Barak in Hebrew means lightning. The Muslim terrorist drove his forward, as in four, lightning truck into the crowd in the 6 + 6 + 6th state to join the Union and killed 7 + 7 people. This was on the same day that a terrorist blew up a Tesla, which is symbolic of lightning because Nikola Tesla was known for his lightning experiments, for example, and of course electricity is symbolic of lightning, at the Trump Hotel, which makes it prophetic because of trumpets, 7 trumpets, right? In the 6 times 6th state. And that attack on the same day injured 7 people. The 7 + 7 deaths and 7 injured on the date 1/1 is exactly 7 months before it is predicted that Paul Simon will die on 8/1. And again, Paul Simon is known for his song involving trumpets. There are 7 trumpets that follow Revelation 8/1. And of course, his recent album is 7 Psalms. So that's another reason for the 7 months. Now I'm really establishing the connection between the New Orleans attack and Paul Simon. Furthermore, 7 is the 4th prime number. And again, Paul Simon is associated with the number 4. Simon's tour began in New Orleans, where the attack killed 7 + 7 people, 7 months before Simon's predicted death. Okay, and his 7 is the 4th prime number, and Simon began his tour in New Orleans on the date 4/4. Again, 4 equals door, equals bridge, equals Paul Simon. In Revelation 9:11, the door, as in the number 4, to the bottomless pit will be opened with a key, as in music keys that Paul Simon uses to compose his music. Okay? And Simon's concert tour began in New Orleans 119 days before his predicted death, when that hits at Revelation 9:11. It's amazing. His tour began on 4/4, which hits at the door opening to the bottomless pit in Revelation 9:11, and that day, 4/4, the beginning of the tour, is 119 days before his predicted death. Simon's first album, okay, and this is where it all comes together. This is the big climax. Okay, this is the big moment here. Simon's first album was Wednesday Morning, 3 a.m. That's the name of the album. Wednesday Morning, 3 a.m. The terrorist attack in New Orleans began just after 3 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. There's more to this. Okay, this is the paragraph that I just read. It occurred to me that I was missing some important things here. The sound of silence in heaven in Revelation 8:1, which is why Simon will die on 8:1, because of his song Sound of Silence. Revelation 8:1 is followed by the sound of thunder and lightning. which is followed by the 7 trumpets of God's judgment and destruction. Following 7 plus 7 people killed by a Ford Lightning truck, that's the name of the truck, Paul Simon is predicted to die on 8:1. Again, Revelation 8:1, and the sound of silence is followed by lightning and 7 trumpets, and 7 plus 7 people killed by a lightning truck is followed by exactly 7 months to Simon's death. Okay? See what I'm saying there? Now, also, the number 7 is the 4th prime number, but also it was a Ford lightning truck, as in 4. And again, on the same night, 7 plus 7 people were killed by a lightning truck, which was Ford. On the day that 7 were injured by the Tesla, which is also lightning, 4 iconic locations in the U.S. were struck by lightning. Amazing. The Empire State Building, the One World Tower, as well as the Capitol Building in New York City, as well as the Capitol Building and Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. 4 iconic locations. And again, it was an attack by the Ford lightning truck. And again, it connected to the New Orleans concert date on the date 4/4, as I explained earlier, which began Simon's recent tour. Okay, and the 2 cities with the 4 iconic locations that were struck by lightning, and this, by the way, was a news story, and the story spoke about the coincidence of 4 of the nation's iconic monuments, structures being struck on the first day of the year. Okay, and these 2 cities, New York and Washington, are the 2 cities that planes struck iconic buildings on 9/11. And by the way, it was 2 lightning strikes in New York City, and it was 2 planes in New York City, and it was 2 planes that were supposed to strike Washington, D.C. And again, 9/11 in 2001 hints at Revelation 9/11, when the door or the bridge will be opened to the bottomless pit, as in bridge over troubled water. Okay, so the 4 locations struck by lightning and rainstorms hints at bridge over troubled water. Because bridge is symbolic of door, which is equal to 4. Symbolic of 4. That's why 4 locations. In other words, it's hinting at Revelation 9/11 because it's the door to the bottomless pit. Or the bridge, same symbolism. And again, the 2 iconic locations in each of these 2 cities clearly hints at 9/11 and the striking of the 2 planes in each city. Well, one of them didn't hit. By the way, the one that didn't hit Washington, D.C. that was supposed to killed 44 people. And what did it do? It opened a pit in Pennsylvania, which, by the way, was located or is located 40 plus 40 miles from Pittsburgh, also known as the city of bridges. The reason for the pit that was procured by the plane crash, that is 40 acres big, is because the plane crashed at a 40-degree angle when it killed 44 people. One of the 4 planes on 9/11, which hints at the door, because door equals 4 in Revelation 9/11. The door to the bottomless pit, which is why one of the planes crashed 40 plus 40 miles outside of Pittsburgh, the city of bridges, as in the door. You see what I'm saying? I'm repeating myself now. It's astounding beyond words. And again, 7 is the fourth prime number. 7 plus 7 killed, 7 injured, exactly 7 months before Simon's predicted death, which will hint at Revelation 8:1, which is preceded by lightning, and then 7 trumpets, and then the opening to the bottomless pit with a door. 57 people were injured in the attack with the Ford Lightning truck in New Orleans. The prophetic Kerr County flooding in Texas on July 4th, 2025, that pointed to Paul Simon and Bridge Over Troubled Water, as I explained in another video, is 57 days before it is predicted that a dirty bomb will be detonated in New York City on Saturday night on August 30th. Simon is predicted to die at the age of 83, which hints at the date August 30th, 8:30. And he is known for performing on Saturday Night Live in New York City in general, but especially right after 9/11. But he met his wife, for example, on the set at the Saturday Night Live studio when she performed on Saturday Night Live. I mean, Paul Simon is associated with Saturday Night Live in general. He's friends with the other former Saturday Night Live hosts like Chevy Chase and Steve Martin, etc. Okay, he's from that era, the 70s Saturday Night Live crew, right? But anyway, so Paul Simon's associated with Saturday Night, in other words, in New York City. And on Saturday night, on August 30th, 8:30, it's predicted that dirty bombs will be detonated in New York City. And Paul Simon is predicted to die at the age of 83. And the dirty bomb is predicted to explode 57 days after the Kerr County flooding near where Paul Simon lives. And I explained in another video how it does point to Paul Simon and Bridge Over Troubled Water. But the 57 days is relevant because, as I've explained now, the New Orleans attack was about Paul Simon, or related to Paul Simon, and it was 57 people that were injured in the attack. The beginning of the flood judgment is described in Genesis 7:11. The lightning strikes and attack with the Ford Lightning truck on the day of the 4 lightning strikes of the 4 iconic monuments. On the date 1/1, in which 7 plus 7 people were killed, is followed by 7 months exactly to Simon's predicted death on 8/1, which will be a warning of judgment that points to Revelation 8:1. Revelation 8:1 is in itself the warning of the judgment that follows Revelation 8:1, the 7 trumpets. Therefore, the date 1/1 and 7 plus 7 deaths followed by 7 months hints at a 7 and 11 to hint at Genesis 7:11 and the flood judgment. And this is also relevant because this is in context again of the lightning strikes in the rainstorms on this night that was a prophetic sign, like I explained, the lightning that struck the 4 iconic locations in the 2 cities. And so that in itself is biblical flood symbolism, which is more confirmation of this 11 and 7 that's hinted at here. And again, it's Genesis 7:11 that the beginning of the judgment is described. And so again, Paul Simon's predicted death will be a prophetic sign pointing to the beginning of judgment and destruction. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. In the last days, many people who claim to be a follower of Christ will have spiritual experiences that are in reality demonic. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus. Do not listen to or follow the example of most quote-unquote Christians. Instead, follow the teachings of Jesus, which most quote-unquote Christians ignore. Like Jesus, you must surrender your life. Put nothing ahead of Jesus, your Lord. Like Jesus, you must lay down your life so that you may live. As Jesus said, one must die first, like a kernel of wheat going into the ground, in order to then grow and produce fruit. And like Jesus said, one must produce fruit, or else like a branch or a tree not producing fruit, they will be thrown into the fire. Jesus was speaking to quote-unquote Christians when he said this. One must die the self in order to be born again. And like Jesus said, one must be born again to enter the kingdom. Like Jesus, you must sacrifice your life for the sake of the coming kingdom. It means to do work that involves some form of sacrifice and risk. To have faith does not mean to intellectually agree. You need to demonstrate your faith through taking action. To have faith means to trust in God's promises. Taking action demonstrates trust and fear of the Lord. The primary reason that the wrath of God is coming upon America is quote-unquote Christians that do not get what I have just explained. The only reason a Christian is alive is in order to help other people become Christians and make it to the kingdom. Do not be deceived by those on the political left claiming to be quote-unquote Christians. There is no such thing as a Christian on today's political progressive left. Jesus said, "Do not think I have come to abolish or change any bit of the law or the prophets of the Old Testament Bible." In other words, the God of the Old Testament Bible is the exact same God of the New Testament Bible. It is essential that you learn about the God of the Bible and his ways. The God of the Old Testament Bible is looking to see who will fear him, and to fear God is not the same thing as quote-unquote revering or honoring God. Through Christ's ransom payment, a Christian is someone who has been redeemed and freed from slavery to sin and Satan. In response, a true Christian recognizes that their life in this world does not belong to them, and they become a willing slave to Jesus for the sake of the kingdom. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. And don't only put the link to this video or another video on this channel in comments sections of places you typically visit, but importantly, put the link to the video in places you never visit, where people who don't think like you visit. If you are a quote-unquote Christian, nothing in terms of an evangelism tool compares to this video with its prediction. It is a massive bag of gold. Beware of Jesus' warning through the quote-unquote Christian that did nothing with his bag of gold and was banished to hell. Also, read Ezekiel chapter 3 and 33 for this same warning. If you think you might be spending too much time watching videos instead of working and sacrificing for the kingdom through handing out flyers and potentially helping hundreds of people in the same length of time as a video, my flyer is filled with amazing information that people need to know right now, and it points people to the video channel. Now is not the time to be handing out typical evangelical tracts that are largely based in error anyway, such as, quote, "Jesus loves you," unquote, for example. You can hand out the flyer on busy street corners, put them on car windshields in busy parking lots, and put them in mailboxes. Just send the file to your local print shop. You can download the file from the website. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, asteroidprediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the Odyssey.com or Rumble.com channel, and do it now in case you aren't able to later.